Now, how did the assignment come about? Did you approach DC about doing the character, or did they approach you?
They were talking with Brian Azzarello about
Okay.
it, and they wanted Brian and I to work on it. I guess early last year.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah, and we talked about it. It sounded really interesting, but we had another project that we were supposed to be working on, and I figured it wouldn't be good to change gears and do this other thing.
Sure.
But after a few months, they came back to us, and we said, yeah, all right, let's give this a shot.
It's funny because when I saw the preview art, I was a little hesitant about whether it was Wonder Woman was a good fit for your art. But to be honest, once it started, I absolutely love it. I think, and especially with the combination of the colors, I think it's perfect. So you seem to be enjoying it. Is it a character that you enjoyed growing up, or?
I think Wonder Woman has that kind of iconic status that you're always aware of her, and you want, she's just such a big pop culture figure, and so. I'm a fan of the character. I haven't been, I hadn't been a fan of like following, all the books, over all the years. But everybody wants Wonder Woman to be great, So it's a lot of fun to try and reinvent, and make a modern audience connect with her.
So here's the thing. Now this is kind of getting into the mechanics of the reboot, but. Obviously, the gods have all been redesigned. Was that your choice, or was that Brian's idea?
It was both of our,
Okay.
It was one of the main columns of what we were trying to do.
Sure.
We just said, this stuff can't look old. We can't, there's only so much we can take from the old continuity and bring it over.
Sure.
The last thing we want is for it to feel like something you've seen before. So
Okay.
we were just trying our best to just visually distance her world from what we'd seen before. For me, when Brian and I are working on the designs, I tend to do more of the human ones. They have a lot more acting involved, so we're trying to bring their personality out, or something from mythology that connects them to an animal or something like that.
Okay.
So they're much more subtle instances of their divinity. But we also, at the same time, want to make sure that you don't necessarily see them as being human.
Okay.
Yes. And for someone like Poseidon, that's a great big gesture, but I like a lot of the smaller, subtle ones.
Okay, and and I'm no expert on Greek mythology, but the vibe I got was, I'm not sure of the correct term, but sort of a pre-classical Greek mythology, where the Greek was a little bit more darker, more violent. Is that what you were going for?
It's much more, these are old gods. It's almost a prehistoric feel to them.
Sure, okay.
There's a very primal thing. They represent really, primal elements of human nature. So we want to bring that out and make you feel that, that these are really old, powerful creatures.
Now, have you gotten any feedback? Because we've actually did a review recently, and some of us disagreed on the show whether or not, I felt the story was perfect for a new reader because you didn't need to know anything that happened before. Other people felt that you should have started with an origin and then gone forward. Have you had any specific feedback from readers as far as the reboot?
Not particularly. I mean, I have heard that some people wanted an origin story, but there were 51 other books that had origin stories that month.
Sure.
So and the important thing about Wonder Woman is just knowing what kind of world we were introducing her to. In a lot of ways, we haven't changed the core of who Wonder Woman is, and what you think of when you imagine what Wonder Woman's personality is. So doing an origin story wasn't. We did one, but sort of in a backwards way. We re-examined where she came from, but it's not, that typical kind of hero's journey, Joseph Campbell stuff.
Sure.
Right off the bat, and because people have seen that, and I think they're tired of it.
Well, in my opinion, I think what you've done is, you've re-examined her history and completely blown it up, but without rewriting it, which I really admire. And also, like I said, I think it is a perfect comic for a new reader, which is a rarity nowadays. So I think you guys are both doing a great job.
Thanks. Yeah,
perfect.
We wanted to just kind of twist things a little bit, and suddenly, just a small thing like that has really changed her world.
Sure.
And it's it's Brian is really brilliant at boiling things down, to those kind of character moments that really affect. The story and how people are going to function and react within that story.
This is kind of an odd question. Do you think that the previous origin for Wonder Woman, the whole idea of her being created out of clay, and do you think that is almost like a fear of female sexuality that causes an ancient culture to create a myth where someone has to be born without sexual intercourse, whether it be Christianity with the Virgin Mary or with Wonder Woman's origin, where there's no sexual intercourse that creates the child.
Yeah, I think it's been interpreted that way. I don't know if it was intended to be that way. I think there is some great symbolic strength in the idea of an island of women, and all their love kind of going into this creature of clay. But I would, part of me thinks also, that's just borrowing from Pygmalion and Galatea.
Right,
so
sure.
it's not really, about this virginal birth necessarily. It's a borrowing of that myth as well. So it's hard to know where it's coming from.